It's just that we have no other way to pay our bills right now.
What's the next step? Are negotiations going to continue with the labor unions?
Well, if they want to continue, we'll continue talking. We always want to talk. I've said before, and I'll say again, that even in bankruptcy, we're going to have to sit down with the unions and still talk about trying to work out a strategy that makes us financially solvent for the years to come. That's going to be required for an exit strategy. So we need to do that. And I think it's important that we're not willfully our public employees, public safety unions, or our employees, because they didn't do anything wrong. They entered into contracts and somebody signed with them. And I don't know anybody here who has a contract for employment who would just totally turn over and say, I give it up just because you asked me. So they're doing what they feel they have to do, but we're doing what we have to do as well.
How is this decision going to impact specifically development, property values, services?
Tremendous impact. Services as they are now, I don't see that those services are going to be reduced significantly because they've already been reduced to the bare bones. So I think tomorrow will still look the same as we do today. The question is, how do we come back? And how do we rebound from this situation? And that's going to take a lot of effort and a lot of time. It's going to take restructuring government. It's going to take doing business a totally different way than we ever have. And it's going to take a whole commitment by the entire community coming together to make it work. And I think it'll happen. Yes, it's a stigma that we're going to have to live with. And if that's what we have to do, it still is not impossible. I go back to my optimism. We will overcome this. There's not a question in my mind about that.
Thank you, Mayor. Citizens, what this is going to mean for them, that will hear this meeting is how will bankruptcy set the guys down personally?
Well, in terms of the average citizen, they probably will not feel the bankruptcy action except for the loss of services that they've already been experiencing. I don't know what's going to happen with employees. That's my biggest concern. We might have a mass exodus of other employees because of that. That's going to further reduce the services in our community, which causes me a great deal of concern. I think that the citizens of this community have been expecting some service that we haven't been able to provide, and I'm not certain we're going to be able to provide them for a long period of time.
So what can they do? There was some concern that property taxes or taxes may be raised in general. Do you see citizens now supporting that?
I don't know whether it's supported or not, but the bottom line is we've been told by a bankruptcy attorney, and it's a reality. We do have to find a way to generate more revenues. We can't just sit here. See, it's not fair to say that the employees ought to ride the whole burden of solving the problem. That's not fair. We have to raise revenues, they have to give, we have to give. It has to be a holistic approach. And so yes, we're going to have to float measures to raise taxes. And that's a bad word, but I don't know any way that we're going to provide the service that this public deserves and needs.
What's the process going forward now? You petition a judge, the judge decides. Can you talk me through okay, you declared it, you're going to do the petition. What's
file
next?
A petition.
Okay.
And the petition is filed and all your creditors get served. Once your creditors are served, they can file various petitions themselves. For example, we expect the first one will be a petition that says that we're not solvent, and that will have to be litigated. The judge will end up making a decision whether or not we meet the solvency test. After that, we go into the other process of talking about a pendency plan that gets us through the time period, how we pay our bills in the meantime. And in that process, somehow after that, we have to sit down and start talking about how do we get out of bankruptcy? What kind of plan do we come up with that makes us fiscally solvent for the years to come? And is one that provides us services, not just pays our bills, but provides the services that the city deserves. Street repair, tree trimming, GVRD, General Greater Below Recreation District, libraries, those kind of things that go to quality of life issues for our community.
How long do you think you'll be in bankruptcy?
I don't have the slightest idea. I would like to hope that it would be very short, but I don't know.
Is there a last question? Is there any advice that you give to other cities that are struggling that may be facing your same scenario?
I will say what I said earlier. Do everything you can to try to avoid it, because I don't think bankruptcy is the right thing to do. But when you don't have any other choices, that's where you find yourself. So if you can find a way to sit down with all your employee groups and try, as unpleasant as it may be, as difficult as it may be during negotiation, try to work out a solution, because this is not it.
Thank you.
Mayor Davis, can I ask you one question? If the bankruptcy judge finds the contracts burdensome and does away with them, do you think this could be the beginning of a domino effect where other cities follow this lead? Will this be a precedent-setting bankruptcy case, in your opinion?
Well, of course it's going to be precedent-setting because it's precedent-setting already, and the filing of it will be precedent-setting. So I assume that if the court were to allow us to reject contracts, there will be other cities, municipalities who will think about doing the same thing. Hopefully they won't have to, because if the court were to do that, I would expect that other unions would recognize that they have that possibility and would sit down and negotiate. Everybody would sit down and negotiate in good faith to come up with a resolution. It doesn't help anybody for us to be in bankruptcy, period. It's kind of like arbitration. You go to binding arbitration, nobody wins, because no matter who the arbitrator rules for, the other side is unhappy. You go to bankruptcy, nobody wins. Somebody's going to be unhappy no matter what happens. So try to work it out.
So there's the prospect, you think this might become an example that compels unions in California and other parts of the country to come to the table and make a greater effort to bargain in good faith?
But I will say not only compels unions, compel cities and municipalities to also come and not try to strong-arm any union, and the unions not to try to strong-arm the cities. I think it works both ways.
Thank you very much.